Namaskar. Continuing with our video series on the refresher training manual for ministerial staff for the state of Punjab, Haryana and UT Chandigarh. Today we shall be looking into chapter 5 of the said training manual, which provides with regard to the general duties of Ahlmad. Let's begin. Before discussing the detailed method for performance of various duties by the Ahlmad, it is necessary that the Ahlmad should know the various stages of trial in civil and criminal cases. The various stages of trial have been depicted in the form of chart in chapter 3 and 4. The Ahlmad are advised to thoroughly acquaint themselves with the same. Some duties of Ahlmad have already been detailed in previous chapters. Other duties. Ahlmad is the custodian of all files. To maintain all the relevant registers properly as prescribed by High Court Rules and Orders, Volume 4, Chapter 24, Appendix Part 1 and Part 2, and Volume 6, Part A4, Part B4, and as per the instructions issued by Honorable High Court. Before starting the work for the day, sort out files received from the court, fixed for previous day. He shall make necessary compliance of the court directions in those cases and place the file in the almirah for the date fixed. Submit all files fixed for next day to the reader before lunch. Register the new institutions in CIS as discussed in previous chapters and to index the same. To issue process in the files as ordered by the court. The format of different processes, summons, warrants, proclamations are given in Schedule 2 of CRPC and Appendix B of First Schedule of CPC. Additionally, the formats are also given in Volume 6, High Court Rules and Orders. Receive processes from the process server, serving agency or police in the files fixed for the next day and place them on record. He shall make reports on the order sheets of the concerned file with date under his signatures. To make proper entries in the registers regarding result of the cases and to enter Goshwara number of consignment in the registers. To prepare fresh and complete indexes of the files for consignment and to consign the same to the record room within the prescribed time. Maintenance and safe custody of judicial files. Preparation of periodical statements to get files inspected as per rules from the parties or councils or clerks. To send record, complete and all particulars to copying agency. On receipt of requisition slip, send the record to the quarters concerned. Another duty is that the Goshwara number given by the record keeper in the challan to be entered in the court registers by the Ahlmad, get them checked and compared from the presiding officer on the first working day in the months of February, May, August and November and with Goshwara numbers entered in the challan in order to confirm that entries are correctly made. Get all the court registers inspected quarterly and signed by the presiding officer. Now let's see about the preparation and issue of warrants of arrest and other processes. Every warrant should be informed to given in Schedule 2 of CRPC. Warrant issued under Section 90 CRPC should be in Form 7 containing the particulars of the person, father's name, caste, tribe or nationality, residence, etc. For criminal cases, in non-cognizable cases, summons to be served through process serving agency of the court. For cognizable cases, summons to be served through process serving agency of police station. Summons issued for service at any place outside the local limits of the jurisdiction be ordinarily sent in duplicate to magistrate within local limits of whose jurisdiction the person summoned resides. In case of urgency, permit the prosecuting agency to send summons directly to police station concerned. If summons have to be sent to any district, vernacular of which differs, then summons to be accompanied by a translation in English. Arrangement and index of files under Volume 4, Chapter 16, Part A and F. For pending cases, index prefixing every case should be in prescribed format. High Court Rules and Orders, Miscellaneous Form number 241, Part A3, Volume 6, and each paper taken on record to be entered in the index on the day on which it is filed. It is also depicted in the manual under Annexure X. The entries and column of nature of paper to be sufficient in detail. Deposition sheet should mention the name of the deponent, witness number, etc. One order sheet to be entered as a single paper or document. Entry regarding documents like pronote, will, and check should be in red ink. Each sheet should be marked with its index number. In case of withdrawal of document, a note in column of remarks in index and also whether a copy substituted or not. Documents admitted in evidence should be kept in strong covers separate for plaintiff and defendant. The strong cover should be provided by the party producing the document. With regard to the decided cases, arrange the record in columns or nathis as prescribed, that is Part A, Part A1 and Part B, which is in accordance with directions contained in High Court rules and orders. Thereafter, page number the parts separately as stated in Part A small I and Part B. For each part, nathi, there shall be a separate index. It can also be seen at annexure X at page number 171 to 172 appended with the book. Each pleading, each witness, each document of parties, etc. should be separately entered in the index. The index on Part A will show all the papers which were originally on the record. When any paper is transferred to Part A, a small one, or Part B, an entry should be made in the remarks column of the index of Part A showing the part to which the paper has been transferred. Enter in red ink the words not to be destroyed in the remarks column of the index of Part A of the record against any paper which is to be preserved under Rule 7, Part E, Chapter 16, Volume 4, High Court Rules and Orders. Attach the certificate at the foot of the index duly signed by Ahlmad. Make over the record to the record department. All civil records and all criminal records shall be arranged in two parts, A and B. Part A shall include the index of papers, the order sheet or chronological abstract of order, the plaint together with any schedule annexed thereto, the written statements and pleadings of the parties, the memorandum of issues with amended or additional issues if any, all deposition of witnesses, all documents received by the court during the trial as evidence between the parties other than copies of civil, revenue or municipal records, commissions, proceedings held thereunder and reports of commissioners, applications to refer to arbitration, the award of other final return of the arbitrators with the proceedings, depositions and documents submitted therewith and any application to set aside the award with the court's orders thereon. Instrument of withdrawals, compromise or confession of judgment, the judgment and other final order, the decree and all documents relating to the preparation or amendment thereof, all notes in the handwriting of the judge, any order by the court accepting an application for review of judgment or for a new trial, judgments and decrees of appellate courts, if any, all orders passed in execution proceedings with applications, objections, writs of which service has been effected, notices, reports, and returns relating thereto, all receipts and acknowledgements filed in execution proceedings, process by which services effected on the defendants in civil suits decided ex parte, power of attorney of counsel or agent of parties. Part A, small 1, shall contain the following papers. Copies of civil, revenue and municipal record received by the court during the trial as evidence between the parties, application of parties who are strangers to the suit with the court's order thereon, reports furnished by the record department, orders of arrest or attachment before judgment with all documents relating thereto, application for review of judgment or for a new trial with the court's order thereon other than orders accepting such applications. Part B shall consist of all papers not included in Parts A and Part A small I. In appeal cases, Part A shall also consist of the index of papers, the order sheet or chronological abstract of orders, the petition of appeal, copy of the judgment of the lower court, any additional evidence taken under Order 41, Rule 27 of the Code of Civil Procedure, the final order of the court, all notes in the handwriting of the judge. Part B shall consist of all papers not included in Part A, papers included in Part A of the criminal record in original cases tried by the Court of Session. Part A shall contain the papers noted below, the index of papers, the order sheet or the chronological abstract of order, the charge, original and as amended by the sessions judge, All depositions of the witnesses, statements of accused persons, including depositions and statements transferred from the file of the committing magistrate, all documentary evidence, the final order, the verdict of the jury, all notes in the handwriting of the judge, the judgment or order of the High Court as a court of appeal, reference or revision, warrants returned after execution of sentence, all proceedings relating to the realization of fines. Part A, in criminal cases, magisterial inquiries and trials, the index of papers, the order sheet or chronological abstract of orders, the final police report, challan or petition of complaint, all deposition of witnesses and statements of accused persons, all documentary evidence, the charge where a formal charge is drawn up, the final order of the court, all notes in the handwriting of the magistrate, the judgment of the appellate court, if any, the judgment of the High Court in revision, if any, warrants returned after execution of sentence, all proceedings relating to the realization of fines, bonds for good behavior taken under section 110 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. In criminal appeal cases, Part A shall include the index of papers, the order sheet or chronological abstract of orders, the petition of appeal, copy of the judgment of the lower court, any additional evidence taken under section 391 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, the final order of the court, all notes in the handwriting of the judge. Consignment to record room, Volume 4, Chapter 16, Part A. All the files arranged by the Ahlmad in two parts, A and B respectively, to be sent to the record room within 15 days of decision, along with the challan in duplicate and court register. The court register will be signed by the record room clerk and returned immediately after receiving the record. One copy of the challan will be returned later after entry of Goshwara number with date against each record and signature in full of the record room clerk. The other copy of the challan will be retained in the record room to be destroyed after 3 years. The Goshwara numbers given by the record room clerk will be entered in the relevant registers by the Ahlmad. The file received from the courts will be entered in general register by the record keeper, and the serial number of the file shall be the Goshwara number of that file. The Ahlmad will, on the first working days in the months of February, May, August, and November, get the entries in Goshwara numbers checked from the presiding officer of the court and will get his signatures. That's how the challan looks like. This is the form of challan. This is the court of dash name of the court in the name of the district. Challan of files consigned to record room. Serial number is 1. Date of dispatch is serial number 2. You will write the date of dispatch. Then the case number will be written at serial number 3. The name of the parties will be written at serial number 4. Nature of the case will be written at serial number 5. Date of decision will be written at serial number 6. Name of village, Basta, in which record is consigned is written at serial number 7. Signatures in full of record room clerk receiving the file with date is written at serial number 8, and Goshwara number is written at serial number 9. Civil and criminal courts, Ahlmad, while sending the record to the record room, shall comply with the following instructions. Instruction number 1, the Ahlmad shall detach all the summoned files and send it to the court or quarter concerned. A note regarding this should be given in civil suit register as well as in the index of the decided case. Instruction number 2, the Ahlmad to ensure that all the documents produced during the trial are fully secure. Instruction number 3, each page, not sheet, of the file will be consecutively page marked. Instruction number 4, the file will be indexed and signed by the Ahlmad. Instruction number 5, Ahlmad will see that no order is left unsigned by the presiding officer. Instruction number 6, the Ahlmad will get every exhibited or marked document signed from the judge. And the last instruction is that every stamp will be punched. With regard to the inspection, rules are laid down in Volume 4, Chapter 16, Part C, which should be in the notice of the Ahlmad, being his general duties. First, pending cases can be inspected by the parties or their pleaders or agents alone, subject to the general control of the presiding officer of the court. Second, inspection of a pending case on the date of hearing before the hearing takes place may be allowed with the special permission of the presiding officer on payment of urgent fee, except in challan cases, which may be inspected at ordinary fees even on the date of hearing. Third, after the hearing, inspection may be allowed on the same day on the payment of ordinary fee. Fourth, inspection by petition writers is not allowed. Advocate's clerk may inspect records in the presence of the advocate. Fifth, a stranger to a civil or criminal case may, with the permission of the court, inspect record of such pending cases before the final order. Sixth, record of the case to which government is a party may be inspected by a government law officer or counsel without payment of any inspection fee. Seventh, if in some case record of another case is summoned for inspection by the court, no separate fee shall be charged. Next, no inspection fee should be charged from a counsel defending an accused at government expense or as amicus curiae or as a legal aid counsel. Next, a separate application shall be made and a separate fee paid for inspection of each record. Next, no mark shall be made on any record or paper inspected. Next, fee for inspection on application for inspection is to be paid in court fee stamps. In order to trace the particulars of a case or document, the party or counsel may inspect the relevant registers of the court fee free of charge. The copying of any document or portion of the record in pen and ink is strictly prohibited. Pencil copies of a document may be made by the counsel or by his clerk or party in his presence. Now let's talk about the reception, checking, distribution and maintenance of registers under Volume 4, Chapter 24 of Punjab and Haryana High Court Rules and Orders. The list of registers to be maintained by the Ahlmad is given in Volume 4, Chapter 24, Appendix Part 1 and 2, High Court Rules and Orders. Only prescribed registers should be used. In case prescribed registers are not available, Peshani must be affixed on the very first page given in the High Court Rules and Orders, Volume 6, Part A4 and Part B4. Ahlmad has to give a separate serial number for each calendar year. On transfer of Ahlmad, the concerned Ahlmad has to check the following: certificate of presiding officer on registers, numbering on each page of the register, entry of all cases pending in the court, the CIS number of the cases, consignment of previous registers. If any case is entered wrongly in the register, the Ahlmad should get the entry cancelled by the presiding officer. Consignment of registers. All registers shall be consigned to the record room after the prescribed period. Goshwara. When a case file is consigned and is sent to the record room, in the record room, a Goshwara list has to be obtained from the record keeper. Goshwara number of a decided case has to be mentioned against the case in the institution register. This will help to find the case file. The monthly Goshwara of all pending cases has to be prepared at the end of the month by the Ahlmad in all the institution registers. Common mistakes in filling up the registers. Many registers have no heading or peshani, while some of them are torn. Entries are sometimes made in a running order across several columns. Cancelled entries do not bear any initials. Sketchy entry qua order or judgment. Entry of decision and appeal is not made in the institution register. Name of the presiding officer deciding the case not properly mentioned. Amount of cost not written in the relevant column and not written separately for plaintiff and defendant. With regard to the transmission of judicial record, instructions are there in Volume 4, Chapter 16, Part B, when the record is sent from one office to another. When several papers or records are transmitted, a list, challan, and duplicate be sent. The official receiving the list shall check the same, and if the file is complete and the list is correct, he shall note the date of receipt of record in both copies and sign the entry. If any paper or record entered in the list is not received, the fact to be noted on each copy of the invoice and the dispatching office immediately informed. If the list is incorrect, make a note and report to the head of the office. When the records are no longer required, return the records to the original office with second copy of the list. Here the list will again be checked and will be returned attested as such to the office to which the records had gone. The dispatcher and receiver of judicial records should check the record and certify that the index is correct, record is complete, or if there is any deficiency in paper or court fee stamps, he should immediately report. The last certifying official will be held responsible in the event of any deficiency. Quarterly list of records sent from the record room but not returned. On second day of first month of each quarter, record keeper will prepare a list of cases taken out of the record room but not returned and would send the list to each court. List of files issued in the court of name of the court, dated, the date. At serial number 1 of the list, it should have the number of the file in issue register, serial number 2, record number, record room number of file, serial number 3, name of parties, serial number 4, description of case, serial number 5, date fixed for hearing, serial number 6, date on which the file left the record room, serial number 7, verification of Ahlmad of court. Sending copy or original to the Superior Court, Volume 4, Chapter 20. The precepts of the High Court to be treated as urgent, dispatch register for record, dispatch to the High Court on requisition should be maintained. Note the particulars of the case given in the precept in the dispatch register and write the number of dispatch register on the reverse of the precept with the date of dispatch of the records. Transmission of connected cases while sending record. In criminal cases, the police reports, first and intermediate, should be sent with the record. The record of the connected cases referred in the judgments of the original and appellate courts should also be transmitted. Transmission of records to the High Court. The list of the records to be submitted in duplicate containing the number, date of requisition, the category and number of the case in the High Court for which the records requisitioned. Records be sent by post or by messenger, but within a week of receipt of docket. Any delay in sending the record should be intimated. On receipt of the records in the High Court, the concerned superintendent will fill in the relevant columns and return the duplicate copy of the list to the dispatching office. When the records are returned by the High Court, the receiving office will fill in the relevant columns in the original list and will return it for the record as an acknowledgement. Records dispatched by post or sent through messenger should be packed in an inner cover of thick paper tied across with tape and secured in an outer cover of coarse cloth. During rainy season, wax cloth should, if possible, be used for the outer covering. Checking of record received from the High Court. If record is missing or damaged, intimation be given to the Registrar General within 1 month of the receipt. Requisition of record by High Court in other courts from record room. A separate register required in the record room for entries of transmission of record to the High Court. The requisition received from High Court and copy of docket shall be kept in the record room and attached with the record after it is received back. It should be ensured that a copy of the order or judgment passed by the High Court is also received along with the file. A separate dispatch register regarding the requisition of lower courts files received from the district courts and other courts should be maintained. Same procedure should be adopted on receipt of the file as has been stated above regarding files received from High Court. Requisition of record by copying branch. Rukka received from the copying branch should be sent with the file and a note regarding this should be kept in the record. Issue of process is given in Volume 4, Chapter 7 of High Court Rules and Orders. Type for processes in civil cases. Summons to the defendants or respondents or witnesses and warrants for arrest of witnesses. The particulars in auto-generated summons. The name of the court, the name and address of the defendant, the stamp and signatures of the court or the authorized official of the court, information about the consequences of failing to show up in court, superintendent or clerk of the court or reader is also authorized to sign the summons instead of the presiding officer. Seal of the court should be affixed. Copy of the plaint or application should be attached to summons to defendant or respondent. Separate process for each defendant or respondent. Publication in newspaper. Publication only in approved newspapers as ordered by the presiding officer. Covering letter to be sent to the manager of the selected newspaper. The court shall pay the amount deposited by the party after checking the correctness of the court notice. Advance payment can also be made. Remuneration to witnesses. The travel, other expenses and diet money for attendance of 1 day. Government is exempt from depositing the amount for summoning its own officials. Additional remuneration for expert witnesses. A government servant appearing as a witness in official capacity to draw traveling allowance from his department. Government servant appearing as a witness in a private capacity to receive the expenses from the party. Attendance certificate by the court to every public servant appearing as witness. No allowance to process server called to prove service of summons. Issuance of summons or other processes on persons residing within jurisdiction of another court. within the state or UT but another district, transmit the process by post straight away to the senior sub-judge of that district. If the vernacular of that district is different, summons in duplicate and accompanied by a translation in English. While writing a report and summons in case of a different vernacular, there should be English translation. Process in India but beyond the limits of the jurisdiction of the court. Forward the summons by post to the district judge of that district by post. By court order, thus the summons can also be sent. The requisite stamp will be levied and affixed to the diary of process fee, and a note will be made on the process that the proper fee has been paid. A process issued by any court or in the states of Punjab and Haryana and Union Territory Chandigarh will be served or executed free of charge in any other part of India if it be certified on the process that the proper fee has been levied under the rules in force. Processes issued by any court in India will be served free of charge by the courts in the states of Punjab, Haryana and Union Territory Chandigarh if it be certified on the process that the proper fees has been levied under the rules in force in that state or territory. Within jurisdiction of another court but within the same district, through process serving agencies located at tehsils, Ahlmad to hand over summons to local process serving agency who will send by post to concerned process serving agency. Instructions regarding issue of summons for particular class of persons. For government servants, summons are to be served through head of the office. For body corporate such as MC, improvement, etc., through secretary or local manager or principal officer. For soldiers and military employment, through head of the office or head of a department or officer commanding the regiment. For police, through superintendent of police or in case of outpost, the in charge of that outpost. To the medical officers through civil surgeon. Clearly mention on summons whether the medical officer concerned is being called to give evidence as an expert or give evidence in case with which he dealt in an ordinary way. Furnish complete particulars of documents required. Now, talking about the service of processes in places beyond India, when defendant resides out of India, the summons to be sent at the residence of the defendant by registered post. If service by registered post fails, summons be sent in envelope through the district judge or to the High Court for transmission to the state government certifying that the service by post has failed. The channel of communication within India of summons for service in foreign countries is the state government and the government of India, Ministry of External Affairs. The summons should never be sent direct. In certain countries, for example, the Federation of Malaya, Iraq and Nepal, processes may be forwarded direct by the Indian courts. So this is all about chapter 5, where the general duties of the Ahlmad were given. Now, with the next video, we shall deal with the duties of reader as stated in chapter 6. Till then, namaskar.